Hi everyone, this is Clara with Card Stampin' with Clara. I'm coming to you tonight from North Carolina, out in the country where we live, and I hope you've had a great week. Hopefully we're going to be feeling some fall temperatures before too much longer. But anyway, for now, it is what it is. I've got some Christmas cards again this week because it's always a good idea to get started early as you can because we never get everything done that we mean to at Christmas, it doesn't seem like. So anyway, we have a card here that I'm going to set it up right here in just a second. It says Merry Christmas on the outside, and it's a nice bright traditional kind of card with bright red, and this green is called Shaded Spruce. And then on the inside, we've got a nice sentiment and a little tree cut out. So that's the card we're going to be making tonight. I'm going to remind you that if you would please to push the subscribe button. And if you have a need to purchase something, I'd appreciate your business. I have a host code, and this is for anyone that's spending less than $150. Please use that code because that will help me. And if you are going to spend as much as $150, you can get $15 worth of free products. So please don't use it if you spend up to $150, and that's before shipping and handling. So I need to mention that to you. I probably also need to mention to you that there's some designer series paper on sale right now. You buy 3 packs, you get 1 free. You might want to check out the clearance rack. There's several things there that are way better value than they were a few months ago. So you might find some things that you like there too. I know that I saw some of the things that I bought last fall on the clearance rack now, so it's a nice bargain for a lot of things. So that's about it for some business. I think one other thing I do need to mention is that the color Posy Purple is going to be available here shortly. They had some problems with the manufacturer, and so now they've got that straightened out, and it's going to be available to purchase. All right, let's get to work here. Let me show you what we're going to be using tonight. This is a little bit different approach than we sometimes do. I am using a couple of stamp sets. This one is the Merry Christmas to All that you've seen me use before, and I'm using the Merry and the Christmas sentiment out of this one. It's a photopolymer set, and I'm using it a lot this year, I'm finding. I am also going back to that Toil Christmas set, and I'm going to use this nice sentiment, may this season be filled with beautiful moments and happy memories for you and those you hold most dear. That's what I'm putting on the inside of the cards this week. So those are the 2 sentiments that we need. I'm also going to be using it's called the Heirloom Frames dies, and basically this is 2 dies. One is a oval and one is a rectangle, and so you can put either sentiments on the inside of this or a picture, whatever you want to, but it's called a framelit or a frame die. That's one part of it, and then along with it you can purchase those dies and these 2 3D embossing folders with a package deal, which makes it a little bit cheaper. And I'm going to be using this nice oval one that's got a pretty design, and I'm going to show you how to do this so that it'll be a little easier. We won't use the rectangle tonight, it'll just be the oval. And along with that, we're going to be using a punch. This is called the Twinkle Builder's Punch. It's got a moon and different sizes of stars. And this is, the only thing you need this for is a star for the Christmas tree. And if you don't feel like you could purchase this right now, if you've got a stick-on star or something that you could pick up at the dime store just to put a star on the top of your tree, you wouldn't necessarily have to have this. But I had it. I had some gold foil already, and so I cut out a star. It made it easier for me. I'm also going to be using this pine tree punch. This is a new punch that's in our Christmas catalog. And I have used it in many different ways, as you're going to see here in a second. And the other thing that I used is this label punch. Now, I need to say that when I started to look up the proper name for this, I realized that I had made a little boo-boo, and I had used a label that has been retired. But they have now an everyday punch that has a label that is just about this size, and it's also kind of a rectangular punch. So it's called the Everyday Punch, and I think that you would like using it in place of this one. It will look very similar. It's just the curves around it, the decoration slightly different. But, you know, if you don't want to use that one and you've got a punch that will fit, then no problem. You can use whatever you have. All right, let's look at the cards here that I came up with. This time I'm using some of the new Christmas. It's called Wrapped in Plaid. As you can see, I have a plaid piece on this one. Got the little pine tree, got some red rhinestones. I put a little background where I did some embossing with one of our other stitched, from one of our other stitched label sets, but that one you won't need for this particular card that I'm making tonight. But it's got some paper in it, like these pretty little pine cones and several different colors of the plaid and what have you. And so I made this card, and I put the sentiment that I was showing you a minute ago that came from the Toil Christmas, excuse me. And I decided to put a little Christmas tree on the inside just to add a little bit of interest to the inside of the card. I think that kind of dresses them up. All right, we'll lay this one over. This is very similar to the one that I'm making tonight. I actually made it first. And this is done in Mossy Meadow, green, Mossy Meadow. And the colors in this piece of DSP, which came out of the Gleaming Bundle DSP set, has got navy and mossy green, and it's also got this pretty peacock color. So I got started, and you can see how I coordinated the colors, and they do match and what have you. And I use this pretty piece of foil that also coordinates with that pretty peacock set. And I wasn't sure that it was as bright as I'd like for it to be for Christmas. Now, some people may like this better than the bright one that I'm doing tonight. So I thought I would show it to you. And this one, too, does not have the design on the frame. So this is what a plain frame looks like. And this one is done in very vanilla. And I coordinated the colors on the inside and used that pretty peacock color for the tree on the inside because I had on the outside. And then I just had some little rhinestones here that I stuck on that one. So that's just a difference in color. But as you can see, color makes a significant difference to your card. And I have mentioned that more than once, I know, but I'll do it again. Here is one of the most simple cards, and it's kind of elegant looking. It certainly doesn't have a lot of old glitter and you know, a lot of different things on it. It's something that you can make very easily, and still it would be a pretty Christmas card. I use this Merry Christmas. It is from that same set that I am using the Merry Christmas, the smaller one. So you wouldn't have to buy another set if you wanted to make one like this. And I cut this tree out, and then I put the shaded spruce underneath it. So that's how I got that look. And on the inside, I did pretty much the same thing with another tree. So that one's very, very simple, and I like it. I mean, I think it's pretty. Sometimes simple is good. This one is done with this navy piece with, it's got stars on it that are in copper. And I decided to use some white glitter and give it a different look. And I embossed the Merry Christmas in white and put the glimmer paper in behind that. And I put a navy Christmas tree on the inside. That's a little bit different, but hey, it matches. So I don't know, but I like that one too. I just made it look like a snow scene. Okay, here's another simple one, kind of like the one I showed you a minute ago. This one's just got the regular Merry Christmas on it and a rectangular, well, just a rectangular shape that I cut. No dies or anything for that. So if you didn't want to use a die and you just wanted to stamp, and you could have one punch and a couple of colors, and there you go. Not very much to purchase at all. You just got, like I said, you just got a punch and some paper. And I did add a little bit of bling to it with the little red rhinestones. But this one is one that you can make very economically and very fast. Same with the other green and white one. This one I used more of that pretty DSP that's called Wrapped in Plaid. It comes in it's a 6 by 6 size, 6 inches by 6 inches in a pack. And you get several different colors of plaid, and a lot of them have this little gold stripe or a little bit of red stripe in it like this one did. And this was predominantly green, as you can see. That's shaded spruce. And all of the color of red that I used is the real red. And I put 2 or 3 little gems on it to kind of coordinate with the white glimmering trees. And then on the inside, I decided to put a green tree so it would show up, and that same sentiment. Okay, here is some DSP, Designer Series paper, for those of you that don't know. It took me a long time to figure it out, but I finally got it. I love this paper that's got holly on it, these little red berries. This is probably one of my most favorite pieces of the DSP. And I decided to use some glimmer paper again. Put these on a doily with a little red circle in behind. Made the label a little bit different using that the punch. Anyway, it cuts the punch cuts it out like this. The name has escaped me for a second, but it's got the punch cuts 3 different sizes. That's why it's called a triple punch or triple banner punch. I believe that's correct. All right, and then on the inside, I put the sentiment. I had a punch from last year that I bought at a bargain. I just put a little piece or 2 of holly there and some little berries, and that kind of coordinated with the front, and that's how I got this one. And this one is made with the little trees are cut out of the copper foil, and I gave them little trunks. I don't know if I would do that again or not. My daughter said they kind of blend into this background piece of early espresso. So, you know, it's just a matter of personal preference. I put a little early espresso in behind them to try to make them stand out. And then I had this piece of DSP from the Gleaming Bundle again, that coordinating DSP. And it has this copper tone in it, and that's why I used copper for this one. Added some red. I embossed the From Us to You in copper embossing powder. And then I put my sentiment on the inside, and because this is Mossy Meadow Green, I cut my little tree out of Mossy Meadow Green. Okay, All right, well, that's a mouthful, folks. But I hope that will give you some ideas nevertheless. Now then, we're going to lay this down and get to work here. And I've already cut out this, and I'll explain this in a second. I'm going to show you a little bit of what we're going to use. You know me, I can't keep up with anything if I don't have a little bag to put it in. All right, we're going to start with the base of the card like I always do, and I kind of put things in together where I can find them. This is 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, scored at 4 1/4. And if I ever forget to tell you, each week I put the instructions, written instructions, and I also put a list of items that you might need to make this card. And everything is listed. All the sizes are listed. A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down to 8 or 10 steps as to how you do it. I also put that on my web page at Stampin with Clara, and everything's linked to make it easy for you. At least I hope it'll be easy. I think it is. So if you don't have to worry about writing all this stuff down. You can just remember, go to Stampin with Clara. And I always have the featured card on my main page, and you can click on that to a link, and it'll take you to the page with all this information on it. All right, back to this. You're going to need 2 pieces of the real red cardstock. Okay, get your tongue untangled here, Clara. Okay, you're going to need 2. You're going to need one for inside, one for outside. Okay, you're also going to need a 3rd piece to cut this oval out of. And that's what I'm going to show you, is how to cut this oval and how to get that design. Then you're going to need a piece of the DSP. This is going to be 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And you can see, there's a little bit about what's another color of paper that, you can use either side you choose. You know me, I kind of like green. Okay. And this is the piece, this is the oval that we're going to need to put the tree on. And this, of course, will go right there. So you can see how it's going to line up. I'm going to put a tree in there. You'll need 2 of these little trees. And you can just cut those out of another quarter of paper or whatever scraps you have. Just whatever you've got that will work. And then for the inside, you're going to need a piece of Whisper White. And this is 5 inches by 3 3/4. So this will go down here when we get it glued together. You're going to need a little piece of Whisper White that you can stamp this Merry Christmas on, and then take the punch and punch it out. And always stamp first, punch second. And the reason for that is, okay, as long as you've got this and this lined up, if it's sitting on your paper sideways, it doesn't really matter, because you can flip this thing over. And I don't have an example here, but then you can line it up exactly. I mean, if it's sitting over here like this, you just make it fit, center it inside that punch. And that's important. You do want that to fit properly. Okay, here's my little star that I popped out of some foil. And I have some red rhinestones that we're going to use. We're going to put some of those on the Christmas tree. Now then, I'm going to push all of that aside for just a second. And I already took a second and cut out this white piece. And the only reason I cut this white piece is we'll need this part of it. We do not need the ring. So you can save that for another card. And I'm going to do the red piece here. And then I'm going to show you the procedure to get the embossing done on it properly. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay, of course, your sharper edge goes down. You just lay it on a piece of cardstock like that. and run it through your machine, which I'm going to do right now. I've got a little electric machine that I like real well. After I injured my arm, I wouldn't be without this thing. It's great. I kind of had to learn how to do this, and I'm going to tell you so you will know, and you won't have to have a problem, you know, getting it right the first time. All right, we're going to lay this over. I don't need that anymore. So what we have is this oval, and it's smooth. And this center you're not going to need. So you got to cut a red and a white, and you need one of, you need the red circle, the white center. Okay. Now then, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this embossing folder. And the embossing folder, I'm going to, all right, where your stamp is, I'm going to lay it right on top. And I am going to spritz it. I've got a little alcohol. I actually like alcohol better because, and I'm going to pull this back just a second, but let's see. Just spritz it a little bit. And what that does is it gives your paper a little bit of give so that when it goes through the embossing machine or the die cutting machine, then you have a, it gives the paper give, and then you have a nice image is what I'm trying to say. I am one of these people, I get my mind on one thing and then my mouth just kind of goes haywire or something. I can't chew chewing gum and walk at the same time. I'm one of those people. Okay, what you do to get this thing is you try to center it to your very best ability. And I may turn that around a little. Turn it over. But you want to make sure, and I hope you can see this, and this might be, I mean, you know how it is when you're trying to line something up. Sometimes it just doesn't want to line exact. All right, that looks better now. So what I do is I get it lined up, and then I kind of pinch it together that way so it'll hold it. I hope you can see that. Now, I am going to put this through the machine, and I may need an embossing. Oh, wait just a second. I forgot to take out on my machine, I have to take out this spacer, I guess. That's what you would call it. Just a second. All right, that plate's going to have to come out and put a kind of a rubbery, actually what I have got here, I'll show you in just a second when I get this run through, is a, if you can believe it or not, it's a mouse pad. Some of the machines, it seems like that you might have to add an extra piece of paper or, you know, just to make the thickness just right. Sometimes I have a little bit of problem getting that adjusted just the way I want it. But I hope this turns out so you can see. I've already got one fixed, as you know, for the card. Okay. All right. Now then, you can see the pretty design. Now, what you're seeing here is where there's a little extra alcohol, and it'll dry, or you can take a heat gun if you've got one, and you can dry it. But that will be all the same color here in a few seconds. So, in order to, so the glue and everything will stick, I'm just going to go ahead and use the one I already made. But you see, by lining it up, and what I started to say was, if you do this part, and then you try to cut it out, what's going to happen is you're going to flatten out all of that, and it actually erases some of it if you do it the other way around. So always cut out your form, whatever it is, and then put it in your embossing folder and run it through so that you don't lose the embossing that you just put on it. So that's what I wanted to show you about that. All right, now then, we can put this thing together, I believe, if I can find some glue here. And we will get started. Okay. I think we'll just go ahead and fix this first. I do it the other way on my written instructions, but it's up to you. It doesn't really matter which one you do first, the inside or the outside. Sometimes I'll just like to get the inside done, and that way, if you do have a boo-boo, you don't lose as much of your work. Hopefully, you're not going to lose it anyway, but you could. So, we'll put a little glue here on the back of this one. If I forget to tell you something in the process, by all means, drop me a line. Go to my comment section on my blog, or to contact me on the main page, and you can leave me a note, ask me a question, whatever. Okay. And this, again, is where these little reverse tweezers, they are so nice. It's the best tip I had gotten in a long time was when my, well, she's called, they're the people up the line from me, Mary. She, as far as being a demonstrator goes, she was saying how handy these reverse tweezers are, and she was so right. Okay, I'm going to put this little tree here on the inside just because I like it on the inside. If you don't like it, don't put it on. You know, it's just a matter of preference. But I think it adds a lot to put a little something on the inside of the card. You don't have to. It's not necessary. But, you know, if you want a little extra accent of something, by all means, go ahead. All right, we're going to put this in here and see if I can get it lined up straight. This is the part that if you get it off and you have trouble getting it repositioned, that could really mess up your front, and you don't want that. All right, now I'm going to press that down. Now, inside's done. That's not bad. All right, first thing we're going to do here now on the outside is we're going to take this piece that's 5 1/4 by 4. And then this one is 3 3/4 by 5. And we're going to put these together. You know, it seems like such a shame to put glue on the back of paper that looks as pretty as this does on the back, but, you know, you can't use but one side at a time. Well, you can't use it but one time, for that matter, but, you know, using one side. So, I'm going to put this on. And I do like this real red and shaded spruce together. I think that looks really nice together. I like that deep green color. Okay. All right, let me see if I can get that pushed down just a little bit. I got it off just a tad. Well, I'll tell you what I do. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead because I'm not going to take time to do this. But if I were making this card and I was not doing it on the camera, I'd take my paper cutter and I would shave just a little bit off right there. And it'll never show on the card if you have that issue. So I'm going to go ahead and put it together so you can see how it's supposed to be. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this oval frame, and You may hear my husband in the background. I don't know. He just came in, and his voice carries three rooms around. I hope it's not too distracting. He promised me that he would be quiet, but he has forgotten is what he's done. Oh, mercy. That's the way it goes. All right, now then, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put this in the center. And as you can see, it just about takes up that whole piece of DSP. And I'm going to go just a little bit further up, maybe. Just a little bit. All right. Now then, I'm going to press that down. Well, I shouldn't have pressed it down. All right, let's see what I can do with this. I'm not satisfied where it's at, and I'm going to put a little extra glue on it, and I'm going to move it. And I was fortunate. Let me get a piece of, I'm sorry, let me get a baby wipe to get my fingers cleaned off a little bit, because otherwise I'll have glue where I do not want it. Now, you can see the glue that's on this piece of paper. So, I slipped it, unfortunately, but it's not out near the edge. And I'm going to see if I can't get this to look a little bit better. This may not be a card that I will use anyway, but I'm not going to show you to put it on wrong. That's not going to do you any good or me either one. Okay, now that looks much better, and I'm happy with that. I've got the same edge on each side, and about the same at the top and bottom. Now this part is important. These dies, you would think that you would get an exact cut, but it's off slightly, it looks like. And I've noticed that if I turn it one way versus the other way, and this one's doing better than most, but it's just right there, that's the part. Make sure before you glue this into place, or before you put your glue on, make sure that you have got it turned the way you want it, where it fits in there nicely. Now this one does, but I mean, I guess it's the very best that they can do to make dies. It looks like it's even. It's just that the tiniest little fraction will make a slight difference. So I want you to be aware of that. Not because I'm trying to, complain about the dies per se, but if you assume that either way is it's going to be the same, and then it turns out not to be, then you're going to be disappointed. So I just want you to be able to get it just as near the same way as you can. We're going to put a sentiment up here. We're going to put the little Christmas tree right there. I always try to notice which way my Christmas tree has been punched out to, because you get a little bit smoother side where, depending on which way, it went through the punch. So I'm going to put a little glue right there, and then I'm going to go down towards the bottom. There we go. And put it just as near down in the bottom as I can. All right. Looks like there might be a tiny little bit of glue there. All right. I believe I made the statement in my written instructions when I was writing them up a few minutes ago, that you could go ahead and put the star on now, however you choose. Like I said, if you've got a stick-on star, this one I had a little bit of, it's not what I want. I had a little bit of the Sizzix adhesive, and because sometimes the glue goes where I don't want it to, I just stuck a little piece of that gold on, and now I'm going to peel that adhesive off. But I'm not saying on my written instructions that you necessarily need to do this. It just works for me. If you've got a little glue, you can put a little dab of glue right there on the back of it. It won't hurt a thing. Okay, all right, star. Go where you're supposed to. All right, there we go. All right. I think that's going to be okay. All right, now then, I want to show you how to put this border around the sentiment on the front. And I left this undone purposely so that you could see if you've never done this before. What we want to do is make this slight little border around this just to, you know, to accent it. So we're going to take our scissors and we're going to cut, and I got a little piece of tape there, it looks like. We're going to cut from point to point going sideways. Or cut right down the center, basically, is what I'm doing. From side to side, not top to bottom. That tape is determined to hitch a ride. Now, the easiest way, I think, to do this is to put a little bit of glue. Don't overdo it, or it will gush out. You like my word gush? Anyway, you just put a little bit of glue on that. Then you lay it on top of your green label half. And then with the glue, you can slide it just a tiny little bit to make it where this is the hard part, is to keep from sliding it all at once. Okay, now that looks nice. We're going to do the same thing to the bottom. It doesn't work well to put it the other way. I've tried that too. Or it doesn't work well for me. Let me put it that way. I think this works better. I think it's easier. So I'm going to come back here like this. And, whoops, slide it enough to where it's about the same from top to bottom. All right, now then, as you can see, there's a tiny little tip. I'm going to take this. You see those little green tips right there? I'm holding it up near the camera, I hope, where you can see it. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to trim that away, because basically we're only making a border at the top and the bottom. It's not going to, it's the same size as the other label, so there's no way that you can get it all the way around. But it still makes it stand out. All right, at this point you take some dimensionals. Let's see if I've got some here. Some Stampin' dimensionals, and put them on the back of this little label. I picked up an extra, well, I'll just put that one down. I'll deal with that one later. You don't want to watch me struggle with that. Everybody's time's valuable, and this Christmas comes on, and I know it's awfully early to talk about Christmas, but it just seems like that it comes like a freight train these days. Maybe I'll get some of it done a little bit early. If it were not for shopping online, I would be sunk. I used to enjoy shopping and, you know, getting out and going, and as the years have passed, it's a little bit more of a struggle and a little less fun. So I can do a lot better job going online and comparing prices and what have you. All right. That gets those protective little coverings off. I'm going to put this right here. I'm going to try to line it up pretty close to where the star is. press that on. And now we can glue this to the front. I don't know how all that got pushed over to the side, but it did. We'll just bring it back. All right. Okay. Now, I want to make sure that I'm putting it on the right side and you don't want it turned upside down or something after you've done this much work. Okay. All right. The one nice thing about glue is you can slip this around a little bit. Okay, all we need to do now is to put on our little rhinestones and we'll be finished. But you can see the difference too with the trees with the rhinestones versus not having the rhinestones. So, I like to give you as many options as possible. And you can put as many or as few as you like. I just put red ones on because they are available. And you can, I mean, they match nicely to the real red cardstock. All right. I'm really growing to like this little, well, I think I stuck that upside down or something. There we go. Liking this little Christmas punch. There's actually a stamp set that coordinates with this little punch. And I wasn't sure that I needed that, so I only ordered the punch and just decided I would use some of the other sentiments that I had, and that's what I did. All right, there we go. I hope you like this little Christmas tree card. I did spray this one. You may see a little sparkle. I sprayed it with some glitter, and this one hasn't been sprayed, but you know, it's up to you. It doesn't make a whole lot of difference. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Like I said, if you push the subscribe button, I'd appreciate it. And don't forget to use the host code if you need something. And like I said, I would greatly appreciate your business. If I can help you in any way, I would certainly be glad to. And I hope you have a wonderful week. Thank you for your time. And the good Lord bless and keep you. And I will be back again in a week. Thank you very much.